Hello there, and welcome to the windy Kaivopuisto Park here on the shores of the Baltic Sea. We're here today to look at 5 brand new fiction books that have come out this year. Here we have a historical novel set in Paris called Miss Stein's Cookery Maid by Leena Parkkinen. The principal character in this novel has a little-known real-life counterpart, but this is the first time that she's been given an entire fictitious story of her own. In the early 1900s, a crime is committed in Parkkinen in the archipelago sea in Finland. The tragedy separates 2 close sisters who have spent their lives together working as servants. 2 decades later, one of the siblings becomes a cookery maid in the household of none other than avant-garde author Gertrude Stein and Alice B. Toklas. Both the Finnish protagonist Margit and the historical Alice are defined by their roles as serving women. Toklas worked as Gertrude's editor, muse, and typist, in addition to being her lover. A special trust is born between the 2 servants from 2 different cultures. Leena Parkkinen is the recipient of multiple literary honors and has written a sensual narrative that vitalizes 1930s Paris and shines a light on culture-defining women at the height of their youthful powers. Masterful cuisine also plays a part in this story, of the kind of love that makes people dote on one another unrelentingly, for better or worse. Here we have an especially powerful book called Disciple by Kari Hotakainen. This is a story that can be called dark and fiery, about alienation and revenge, but always about seeking connection as well. The story begins with Maria, a 30-year-old ex-mechanic who's been severely marginalized in her life. She's running out of options and resorts to drastic measures when she violently kidnaps 3 people. She takes them to where she used to work, a now abandoned gas station. Maria's arc starts with childhood abandonment in foster care. She wants to punish those who she thinks are not living honestly. Her victims are all conceited in some way, like the restaurant critic who hates people who are too poor to eat, and the actor full of jargon and hot air. Maria spouts biblical verse monologues and fancies herself a sort of beacon of truth and an inquisitor who wants to judge the wrongdoings of others and their sins. Hotakainen is a master of tension and atmosphere, and Disciple is thrilling all the way through. His language is sparse and even poetic, which stands to reason since he started his literary career some 40 years ago with a book of poetry. Now, this is also a book that'll hopefully shock you into rethinking a lot of problematic values in society today. It's an all-round great work of fiction. Here's a quote from the new book, Enchantment, by the renowned author Riikka Pulkkinen. "I am anything at all. I am the world. I am the girl of girls. I am everything you can imagine, and that which you will not speak aloud." At the center of this story is a 17-year-old girl who is no stranger to different types of roles in her life. Disturbingly, the book begins with a girl named Philippa being found dead in her own garden. The protagonist approaches the core of the narrative through the experiences of Philippa's mother, best friend Saga, ex-boyfriend Oliver, Alex, the 80-year-old neighbor, a busy mother named Elina, and a bunch of guys looking for dates. Videos from Philippa's phone and the coroner's autopsy report shed more light on this fragmented picture. As the dead girl's life starts to come into focus, it becomes clear that in life she was able to be both pleasant and manipulative, wise yet cruel, a Lolita figure as well as a playful person. The novel doesn't offer any clear singular picture of Philippa. The primary theme of the book concerns the image we each project about ourselves as people, and the way that changes from one perspective and one era to the next. Enchantment is also a deep dive into what it means to live as a girl, and a window into the vulnerabilities, breaking points, and forms of growth that people of all ages go through. This is Pulkkinen's 7th novel, and a masterclass in the art of storytelling. Despite the title of this book by Johanna Holmström, this is no ordinary trip guide. It's a collection of short stories written in Swedish that spans the depths of darkness found in the human mind. and the ways that people's relationships sometimes grow crooked. The weaving stories run from the 2000s with their social turmoil, climate crisis, and pandemics, all the way into the 2200s, when the role of artificial intelligence has expanded greatly. The Lucid Dream Handbook is the 6th publication by acclaimed author Johanna Holmström. It's divided into 10 separate stories, but their interconnectedness soon holds you in its grip as a breathtaking continuum of events. This sense of connection is underscored by an atmosphere of true horror, which grows and grows. Something evil or mystical is always present in these pages. This same mystique and raw power can also be found in Holmström's language, which veers away from sheer anxiety. The setting may be dark and bleak, but the attitude of the book, in tone, is more like a catharsis. Feminist ideals play a strong part in the plot and themes as well, as Holmström has masterfully done in previous stories too. This is a dark, swirling pearl of a collection. The stories inside demonstrate how humanity's capacity for good is limited. Maybe other life forms could do a better job. In this crime novel called Hildur by Satu Rämö, a small village community on the west fjords of Iceland has only one detective. Hildur Runarsdottir unwinds by surfing and jogging as she tries to deal with her anxiety over the mystical disappearance of her sisters some 25 years earlier. She's a traumatized policewoman who finds lost children as a living. She partners with Finnish cop in training Jakob, who has emigrated to Iceland to avoid a difficult situation. The characters are made flesh and blood in an impressive way through their daily interactions. The realistic plot also takes the reader along for a dark and nuanced ride. One of the characters in this Nordic noir story is the island of Iceland itself. The local nature, its untamed majesty, and also ruggedness are brought to life so strongly that the country starts beckoning to the reader. Satu Rämö is a first-time thriller writer who has previously written travel books about Iceland. The far Nordic nation creates an almost cinematic setting for the novel as a land of giants and magical tales. A fascinating new series of Finnish whodunits is born.